If you're a lover of Pokemon or even just a fan of the Monster Battler Monster Collection genre, I think I've found a amazing game for you. And honestly, I think that this might be one of the top games of the year. So, without further ado, let's get into Cassette Beasts. Cassette Beasts is a new game that just came out in the last month, and it is a monster collector, monster battler type game similar to Pokemon, Temtem, things of that nature. However, I have to say that it adds so much to this genre that if you've never played any games of this type, I would honestly just recommend you start out with this because it is such a fantastic game. So let's just hop into the story first. You'll find yourself washed up on a beach on this new land, and you don't really get any instructions after that, so you got kind of just walk around, and you'll eventually run into a monster. And luckily, there's someone there to help you out with this battle, otherwise I think you'd be a little SOL. And through this, you'll learn about one of the main gameplay features, if not the main mechanic of this game, and that is how you battle these monsters. You will be given a cassette, and based off one of your choices, you'll be given a certain cassette beast. And through this first little introductory battle, you'll learn how to battle, the different types of mechanics that are in the game, and basically how you're going to go around and capture these monsters. We will get into the mechanics in a little bit later, but basically while you're on this land called New World, you'll meet a bunch of friends and a bunch of people all across the land. And basically your goal is to try and find a way home, because you'll discover that all of these inhabitants of the New World are actually people from different times. And not just different times, you'll actually find that they're from different ideas. One of, I think, the coolest features of this kind of game basically is that a lot of the things that you'll run into, and even the people that you'll play with, are actually ideas from humans. One of the big plot points for this game is that all of the things in this world are things that humans have created, whether it be themselves, their pets, or even just their ideas from things like books or art. And this is actually even larger when it comes to these creatures that you'll run into called archangels. So these archangels are actually the bosses that you're going to be fighting throughout this game, and they're kind of the story driver for this game. Now these archangels, they all have their own type of plot basically. They're a certain feature, kind of like, greed, lust, that type of thing. So for example, one of them is the Archangel of Death. Another one is the Archangel of Nowhere. And they will be kind of the main plot points for this game as you battle them and try and find a way home. There are also a lot of different side stories that kind of also go along with this main storyline, and that is of the Rangers. The Rangers are this group of people that help out others in the town, and these Rangers are kind of like gym leaders, for lack of a better term, and you'll have to find 12 captains of the Rangers and battle them so that you are able to become a Ranger yourself. And while this is not one of the main storylines to help you get home, by doing these quests, you'll get these things called rumors. And rumors are actually one of the big mechanics in this game. Basically, if you see an AI with a question mark over their head, they'll give you a little hint basically on what you might need to do next. Lastly, there is a third main storyline that has to do with these landowners. It's really funny. This game has a lot of, honestly, just memes, or you can kind of tell that it was made by people that can't afford housing, because one of the, not exactly main bosses, but kind of like the side plots, is that you have to get rid of these quote-unquote vampires, and they're actually just real estate investors. And for someone who's kind of going through that with everybody else in the world, I thought that was a hilarious take on kind of an enemy, basically, for the game. And then on top of that, there's a ton of other side quests that you're able to do as you want. There's nothing that forces you to do anything in particular. You are able to explore any part of the map. It just depends on if you have a specific mechanic unlocked, basically, to get you there. With that, we'll kind of move into the graphics. The graphics kind of have that similar old sprite feel that is pretty, I would say, normal and common for this type of game. But they definitely have their unique flavor when it comes to the world, as well as the monsters that inhabit this world. I think they did a fantastic job with the different types of monsters. The music, I have to say, is one of the best soundtracks that I've heard in a long time. There's different music depending on where you are in the map, and depending on what you're doing also. So like you get into boss fights, there's some intense music that actually has lyrics. When you are just resting or maybe talking with some of the other characters in the game, there's also music. And if you go into houses in town, there's music with lyrics. And the music is very, very relaxing. it is definitely music that I can see myself hearing and just immediately thinking of the game. They also did a fantastic job with having unique regions to the world, as well as having unique monsters that are in those unique regions. It's always nice when there's definitely some flavor to each area that you go to in a game like this, and I think they did a fantastic job. Alright, so now let's get into, I think, the highlight of this game, and that is all of the gameplay mechanics. So just talking with the monsters, they're called Cassette Beasts. There are 14 different types, and these range from beast, fire, plastic, grass, water, poison, astral, glitter, glass, mountain, ice, air, lightning, and metal. And that is a mouthful to say the least, but I have to say that the intricacies of the typing in this game is fantastic. There are so many cool little interactions that you'll have with different types in your battle that it opens this very wide range of how you want to play the game. That is, I think, a lot different than any other game in this genre. In total, there are 120 monsters across this world that you are able to capture, and there's actually even more than that. One of the coolest things I think with this game is that there are these things called bootlegs. And I found that funny just in general because it's a bootleg copy of the cassette basically, and so it is different than the original. But with these bootlegs, they actually are pretty much very similar to shinies, but they actually add a huge gameplay feature, and that is that these bootlegs or shinies are actually a different typing than the original monster. So for example, you could have a grass monster, but it can appear in any other type. And I think that is absolutely insane. Not only is it a different color scheme, but it is actually a different type in general. And it also learns a different moveset. So generally, like even if you had a shiny in Pokemon, it's still just the same Pokemon. It's not going to learn any different moves. It doesn't have a different typing. It's just a different color. Whereas in this game, they actually get a different color. They actually have a nice little shine to them. And they also will learn a completely different moveset depending on what type of typing, that's stupid, they are. And so if you want to do the math, there's 120 monsters across the world with 14 different types that they can all be. That is a total of 1,680 different monsters that you were able to find. And the shinies, I only found 3 of them across the game. So you could have a hell of a time looking for these things. One of the unique features of this game is that you actually have 2 health bars. You'll have a health bar for the monster that you are actually using, and you'll have a health bar for yourself. So as you're battling, you'll see that there's a red health bar behind the green health bar, and when that green health bar goes low, you'll actually start taking damage on the red health bar. Now, the red health bar is yours, the green health bar is the monster that you are using, and you can lose even if you have extra monsters if that red health bar hits 0. So there are like really, really big hitting moves in this game. I mean, like that do significantly more damage than the majority of abilities. And if you get one shot, you might just lose straight up. And so you always have to be on the lookout. In the boss fights, there are certain mechanics that are one-shot abilities, and this is extremely detrimental to your gameplay. On top of that, when you die, you actually do drop materials. These materials are found pretty easily through battling, and they are used to purchase an array of different items such as health potions, things of that nature, different stickers in this game. They don't call them abilities, they call them stickers. You're able to put stickers on your cassettes, and that's how your monsters actually have abilities. It's really funny, but you're able to purchase these with these items that you get through battling, but they do drop on death. Not all of them, just a small percentage, but you just want to make sure you're on your toes when you're battling. The nice thing about this sticker system is that you're actually able to remove abilities from tapes and then reapply them to another monster. So you don't have to worry about, using them and never getting them back. Say you stop using a monster for whatever reason, you can go and take off the ones that you put on them and save them for another monster. I will say that one of the nice things about this game is that you can see all of the monsters in the overworld. It's not like a encounter type of situation. You're actually able to see all of them, and you're also able to see that coloring if they are in a different color. So once you kind of know what the normal color looks like, you'd be able to tell when the other one is there, because they actually do have a shine on them in the outer world as well. Another unique feature of this game is the fusion mechanic, and you will always have a partner with you through this game. So depending on the partner that you have, you're able to level up from 0 to 5 with their kind of like relationship with the person. And as you do more things in the world with them, they level up. And depending on what level they are, your fusion is able to deal more damage. Now, this fusion is really cool because it actually combines 2 monsters. So your Cassette Beasts will combine into one, and I will let you know that they have a unique model for every single one of these fusions, and I think that is absolutely absurd. They put a lot of work into this. So depending on what 2 monsters you combine, you will always have a unique character model, and it is just overwhelmingly amazing. On top of that, you'll able to use every single ability from both monsters. You'll have increased HP, you'll do extra damage, and this is one of those core features of this game. This is going to help you out in boss fights and gym fights and things of that nature. Over time, you're able to get this fusion bar to increase. There's also items that let you charge up the fusion bar as well. And it's just a key feature during this game, and I think they did a fantastic job for it. Now, like I said earlier, there are also partners in this game, so you will always have a partner with you. So basically, you'll always be doing 2v1s, 2v2s, or 2v3s in this game. I think it's really nice because you're able to kind of make a lot of the typing in this game work really well. So you can target your allies as well as your enemies, so there's a lot of interactions that are really, really fun. So, for example, if you do a water move on a grass type, it actually gives that grass type a healing mechanic. And you're able to do that yourself, so you can actually target your ally with an attack, deal, nothing terrible damage because of the typing, and actually give them a heal, even if you might not have a heal on that character. And through this game, these partners will change. You'll run into different friends, and you'll take them along, and depending on who you like the most, you'll probably just play with that person. It didn't really impact anything. There are specific plot points that you need to be with a certain character to do, but other than those small quest lines that they have for those partners, you're able to kind of bring along anyone you want. Now, for one of the, I think, most important mechanics of this game, that is the leveling system. So the leveling system in this game, I think, is what makes it so much better than any other game in this genre, and that is the fact that you actually level yourself up. You're not specifically leveling up your monsters. And what I mean by that is you have a level specifically. You get experience, you level up, and when you take on these forms of the Cassette Beasts, they are always going to be your level. And why I think that is so important is because even on the last boss fight, I was changing members of my team, putting in things that I had never touched. They were maybe caught at like level 11 or something like that. And when you take the form of that Cassette Beast, it will actually become your level. There are levels for the monsters, and it just goes from 1 to 5 stars. When they hit 5 stars, if able, they are able to evolve. So evolving is in this game. And even some evolutions actually give you a choice on whether you want them to have certain features. And depending on what you pick, they actually evolve into a unique monster. So I think that is so fantastic because you can actually go play the game with any monster that you want. You're never going to have something that's just stuck in the storage. Depending on what region you are in, there's going to be certain monsters in the world, so you might want to go switch your team out. And you're not penalized for not training those monsters. The only penalty is they might not have as many moves as the monsters that you currently have been using. And for me, that was really important because I was able to say I caught something cool, but I was in a water zone and it was a fire type. I probably didn't want to use that because there are a lot of negative effects that you're able to get through this battling system. And so using fire into water is extremely detrimental. And so I didn't use them until I got into, let's say, the wood zone. And then I'm able to go take that out of storage, use this fire type that I never leveled, and it's the same exact level as all of the other monsters. That might not seem like the biggest deal in the world, but to me, I think that is such a, one, it just saves you a lot of time, and two, it really allows you to play as many different ways as you want because you're not penalized for not leveling all those monsters. As you move along in this world, you'll find that there are, let's say, HM-like abilities that you're able to get depending on what monsters you catch. There are unique monsters in this world that you're able to capture that give you abilities like a dash, they let you glide, you're able to climb up walls, you're able to swim. Basically, they're just like different ways to traverse the world, and depending on which ones you have unlocked, you'll be able to unlock different areas of the world by using these features. There's also a bonfire-like rest system. Basically, you'll see these little camps on the ground. You're able to rest there. It's basically just going to repair and heal your monsters as well as let you change your team if you want to. I think that was really nice. You don't have to go back to town to change your team. You're actually able to do it from all of these little bonfires that are very well spread across the world. It's nothing terrible. And to make life even easier, there is a fast travel system. One of the kind of core story features is this train station. And this train station is actually how people get to and from the island. And this whole time you're trying to work on getting out of the island through this train station. But you can also use these train stations as fast travel points, and they're very nicely located around the world to make movement a lot easier. I know that was a mouthful, but this game just has so many great things. I could go on forever, honestly. But we're going to move into kind of like the replayability. One of the nice things about this game is once you beat the game, you're able to unlock custom game modes. And if you're someone that's really into Pokemon, you'll know that things like Nuzlocke and randomizers are very, very popular. And so they just went ahead and added it to the game. You can turn on permadeath. You can turn on randomizers so that monsters have different typing and things of that nature outside of the bootlegs. And things like that are just built into the game. It's really nice. You're not going to have to go download a mod or something, but you actually are able to download mods for the game if you want. And this game also has multiplayer. Overall, I feel like this is one of the best games in both this genre and one of the best games of the year. I genuinely had so much fun playing this game. I constantly found myself sitting for maybe 4 or 5 hours just playing through, battling different things, catching all the weird monsters that you run into, fusing different ones because there's so many different fusions that you can do. And even 13, 14 hours into the game, I found myself finding unique mechanics when it came to the typing and how certain types battle each other. The story is an amazing story that added comedy as well as horror to it. It's not all, sunshine and rainbows. There are deaths in this game. There are spooky, scary things that you don't have to go and read the Pokédex entry to find out about the game, basically. And it's just so unique, I would like to say. I don't think I've ever played something similar to this. While you could say it's an isekai, basically, and you get traveled into another world. Outside of that, I feel like this game is so unique. The soundtrack is just absolutely amazing. The company did a fantastic job with this game. I would give it a 9.5 out of 10, and the only reason why I'm not giving it a 10 is because there are a lot of ways that you can kind of cheese the game that might not be the most enjoyable for you. I found that when you're in a boss fight, for example, using damage over time effects was significantly easier than actually just dealing damage to the boss. I won't go into why that was, but I felt like that was kind of a cheese. And it's also extremely, extremely, extremely difficult to catch the shinies. The recording feature in this game, basically how you capture the monsters, is very hard in comparison to what the other games of this type of genre usually have you do. When you're actually trying to catch these monsters, you are vulnerable to attacks yourself. And that is scary because you'll just get one shot occasionally while you're trying to catch these monsters. And when it comes to the shinies, they are like very, very low percentage. I mean, like 5 to 15% of capture rate. So it is definitely a little difficult, but other than that, this is easily one of my top games that I played so far this year. If you guys have played it, let me know what you think. If you are going to play it after this, I highly, highly recommend it for $20. This is such a fantastic game, and it's actually across a couple different systems. So depending on where you want to play it, I just highly recommend this to everybody. So as always, guys, if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. And as always, thanks for likes and subscribes. Appreciate it. See you on the next one.